record. Is now recording? Okay. The record went away. Oh no, it says on top, it says it recording. Okay, gotcha, that's all I needed. Nothing yet. I just got it all set up, and so I got them focused in there. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I can still read, but it's more painful. Really? Cheaters. So, what, you have a day off of work today?
Yeah, I'm on my job.
Where's your office at?
In the room, in my car.
Oh, in your car?
Mm-hmm. I'm mobile. Mm-hmm.
Well,
The house on Water Ranch, east of Maca, it's steps down to your house, it's uplifted, it's like brown. And it's,
it's in the garage. Right by the brown tables that you got. It's back there. It's quick.
almost across the street from Paycheck.
Go right by.
You know where he is?
Yeah, right up to the picture.
Yeah, he's really good.
It further makes me question in regards to where my office is. I have offices in Kissimmee that I go to. I also have offices for
think that's the,
That's the violation picture.
this is re-inspection date because of March 4th.
Because this is what's dead right here, I can't tell by the pictures.
That's dead.
That's the problem. That was something.
I don't know, I'm looking at the first time too. I'm just assuming.
I'm familiar with that. She lives in Costa Rica. She ignored the first numerous letters of violations.
Okay.
So they were completely ignored. She said that we had a bad address, or she had changed her address. And she did not give us her new address. Additionally, she's on auto debit, and she's paying us $97 when the due is actually $85. Because she has it nowhere else, you're talking about $5. And a woman who represents her is an amiable person who is trying to accept her property. So she is due a refund for overpayments. I would say $500 for 6 months.
All the cost of sending her the letters and everything else is too much.
Yeah, because we're coming up with $25 a piece. So, that's 100 plus our cost, portion cost, so $1,200.
Hello, how you doing?
You ready to call Mr. Baker?
Where's he calling now?
He's coming.
How about the show?
Cheryl, honey, here.
She wasn't sure if she should be.
Welcome to the conference center.
Sorry.
Please enter your PIN code followed by. Please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed. Please wait for the tone. Then say your name and press the pound or hash key. When you hear the tone, you will be the first person to join the meeting. The line will be silent until another person joins.
Are you? Okay.
That's convenient. You don't have to,
What?
that's convenient. I have a tape recorder like we do for normal board meetings.
Okay.
So one of them's gonna be in there, I think, but it's,
Okay. Who do you have taking notes? Okay. We'll call the meeting.
you're not saying, I know one of our, I think one of the staff that we normally do it.
Okay. It's 12:03, call this meeting to order. Cheryl, did you or Diana post notices on the two entrances and on the board? Thank you. We have 3 of the 5 board members attending, so we're in a quorum. Did everybody sign in? Did everybody sign in? Thank you, Mr. Mullins.
She's the mother of Mr. Smith.
Are you an owner of property here?
No, I'm not.
Are you, are you deeded on a property here?
Not yet.
Read your documents.
Gene asked me, he's out of town in California, and he asked me to participate, not in speaking, but in filming too.
We have turned away renters in the past, and we've turned away people that were interested in
I'm not
buying
aware of
here.
that, but could you make a policy saying that no one's allowed, or you make mention of it right now?
Well, you, as a past president, have turned away renters and people that are interested in buying here.
Renters do not attend board meetings. I have never turned a renter away. We never turned anybody away. We never even asked the question. I'm sorry, David.
Is she independent?
It does not matter. Read your documents. It is not your concern how she is. Your documents make a statement in regards to non-owners here.
Why do you
The
being so
board-
nasty?
The board has a final say
I'm
on
not
this.
talking with you, Chuck, please.
Why are you being so nasty? Let's
I'm
keep
not
it civil.
being not nasty. I have been questioned. I'm giving an
They asked
answer.
her, they didn't ask you.
I
Chuck,
have been coming here since '09, and I've never, ever been questioned. Okay, I do not participate.
You were
I
questioned
say
at
I'm
the
the-
election.
You definitely participate, ma'am.
but she also had
I also
policy.
had power to be here.
You just said you were never questioned, you were questioned at the election, you were questioned at the board meeting before that. No, no, no.
She
No,
is not talking to you.
Yes,
She's
somebody
talking to
asked.
the board.
Anyhow, I stayed on the board of ARB for 2 years. I came to all meetings, I participated as far as what is the board doing, do we have questions? Nobody ever questioned me or threw me out. Now, I bother you sitting here, I'm not saying a word.
I'm just asking why you haven't signed in. And you
Because
do, and you do
I want me to
participate,
sign in for Mr. Jean?
and you do,
or is that
and
legal?
you do participate regularly in the meetings.
I try not to. But have you noticed, ever since the election, I have shut my mouth, and it was really hard to do, but.
What is staff's opinion of that?
I'm looking at attendance of the meetings in section 6, it says any person entitled to cast the votes of a member. And in the event any lot or unit is owned by more than one person, all co-owners of a lot or unit may attend any meeting of the members. Any person not expressly authorized to attend a meeting of the members as set forth above may be excluded from any meeting of the members by the presiding officer of such meeting.
And that's you, David. You have a right to exclude. It doesn't say they're not permitted, but you do have the right to exclude.
Well, the precedents in the past is we have turned away renters and people that were potential buyers. What is the board's opinion?
Past president definitely would not allow renters to speak several times.
I didn't say that you couldn't attend the meetings, Mr. Baker, did I?
How does the board feel about the attendance of a non-homeowner, non-deeded party?
I don't think a non-homeowner, non-deeded party should partake in today's discussions.
I agree.
Do I scare you that much by sitting here?
No, it'd be better if your son would have been here.
He's in California.
I understand
I mean,
that.
I know you're trying really hard not to get any participation here, but.
That is
No,
not,
no, what
that is
participation,
not,
not for
not,
homeowners, she's a homeowner.
I know it.
Janice, you'll have to leave. They do not want you.
Okay, as long as from here on out, anybody who's not a homeowner leaves. I don't mind leaving, I don't mind sitting out there. But if anybody else comes in, and I will be checking, you have to do the same thing to them.
that's, we're prepared to continue that same track record as the past.
Okay.
You might wanna ask her if she has a signed thing from them saying she's allowed.
You have a signed proxy statement from Gene Smith?
Why would that make a difference?
Yes, according to Mr. Ellis,
I
yes.
can have one faxed to you if you would like.
Once you have it, you can come back into the meeting. And we'd love to have Gene at a meeting, so if you
Well,
could.
if you ever had him a good time, you could come.
Mhm.
This is not a retirement community.
The last meeting was at 6.
She gonna take her equipment over there?
No,
No.
Oh,
I can,
absolutely.
no, I don't have, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get the fax.
In the meantime, you and your possessions need to leave the room.
I am taking care of her.
She's taking care of it for me.
I will bring in two. Those will be
Yeah.
considered mine.
Good, fine.
Yeah, add something real quick.
Mhm.
In recent months, we've been involved in a series of legal sessions for board of directors and public at large. And there's a growing concern amongst attorneys about individuals who are not members of the association attending board meetings.
So can you speak up, so
Sure.
you're being recorded, so.
Okay, and the reason for that is, and again, these are attorneys mentioning these things at some of the symposiums that we've held. The issues that they've had with that is that the members in a board meeting, when certain things are discussed, are protected under the attorney-client privilege. A renter would not necessarily be protected under the attorney-client privilege due to the fact that they're not members. So anything that may be discussed at a board meeting that ultimately could result in some potential litigation at some point in the future could be brought up, and those individuals in attendance that were not members and not held to the attorney-client privilege could be subpoenaed, and they would basically have to disclose all that they heard in any particular meeting. So it's one of the reasons that several attorneys are suggesting to associations that they stay very stern or adopt a rule that only members of the association be involved in the board of directors meetings for that purpose. And we've had that discussion with several attorneys, and quite a few of them agree with that. So I would suggest that the board may ask their attorney for that as well.
Good. Cheryl, I make a motion that when we note future board meetings, that the board meetings are open to the residents and deeded property holders of North Shore and Lake Arch.
Well, not resident.
Not residents.
Owners and deeded property, correction.
What's the last power of attorney?
And power of attorney, and proxy is outlined by our bylaws.
Okay.
It's, in the bylaws, Cheryl, it's section 6, attendance at meetings. You may want to quote that exactly when you put in your notes of the meeting minutes for today, and then also.
Seconded by Marquina.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
You want to bring it back to them
That's
too,
great.
as well as
Approved. Thank you, John.
special meetings, just so they know.
Good, we can hear you fine, John. Hopefully you can hear us.
Special meetings when
Yes,
they're
sir.
posted.
Okay, thank
It can
you.
get confusing.
Here it states, Rose had a question about special meetings needing 14 days notice and not 48-hour notice.
Excuse me. You do not have a fax here.
I'm
So I
sorry.
can't have it faxed. Can I have it emailed?
We cannot accommodate you at this time. An email is not a. Do you have power of attorney?
These questions I don't like answering without an attorney.
Okay, well,
No, he's not my attorney.
Mr. Chairman, I move we proceed with the agenda on the table.
I agree, thank you.
Janice?
Do you want me to leave? Okay.
Good. Today's meeting, scheduled for 12 o'clock today, was requested by First Service Residential to address some issues and to do a business review of the relationship. And that is why, Cheryl, that we have conducted the meeting today at noon. The last board meeting was at 4:30. The board meeting before that was at 6 p.m. The reason we did a 4:30 meeting was to accommodate 4 long presentations by landscapers. And today was at noon to accommodate the schedule of numerous people during the daily business of First Service. We have no intent to exclude anybody from participating or attending a meeting In fact, we're trying to get more participation in attendance. We welcome everyone with open arms. Okay? And Candy, since you called this meeting, why don't you go ahead and start? I'm sorry, Mark.
David, it just seemed to be a sense of maybe miscommunication or difficulty or maybe unsatisfaction of the board toward First Service in regards to some accounting issues that have been corrected, some tax issues that certainly were addressed and corrected immediately. Also, some accusations to First Service not doing their job correctly. Even some rumors that have gotten back to me saying that North Shore is looking for a new management company and questioning, our dismissal of a previous employee, those type of things. So I had hoped to air that out today. I'd asked Fernando to join us so you would know that this account is very serious to us and that we work very diligently to provide direction, to accept direction from the board and provide support to our
Great. Well, Danny.
on-site staff.
Yeah.
So we just wanted the opportunity for you guys to, instead of emails going back and forth, or instead of just one board member sharing their concerns or expressions, that we could have a meeting to discuss this through the senior CAM manager, myself as RD, and vice president of our company.
That's great. And contrary to the original inquiry from you to do it with 2 board members, we think that there was enough interest from our entire board, as well as our community, to have this open. And that's why we've done it as a scheduled board meeting. Good, so.
And
we're
my
happy.
email to you stated that we welcome the pleasure of meeting
Sure,
with you as a
absolutely.
group.
Yeah, we weren't trying to do anything on the QT. It's just, I don't have to relay conversations to other people. Everyone can ask questions firsthand, as can our residents and our former president. And we welcome a regular business review. We encourage to do a regular business review. I think you folks know, except for Mr. Baker, who's been an invaluable holdover from the old board, you have a new board here. We have gotten in and, Fernando knows, easy, call me Dave. We have gotten into it. Some of this is new for us. Some of our board members, like Mr. King and Mr. Pina, are very, very experienced. And we're just trying to get our hands around all of it. Some of it is the transition, and some of it is our take on how we want to run this community and better this community. So I think we should do this on a semi-regular basis, more needed more, and if not, we invite and encourage a candid conversation both ways. You guys have to be happy, we have to be happy. So
We have these on a quarterly basis with a few of our communities, and it's good practice. It allows both sides to maintain themselves and updated on the events of the prior quarter and rather than talking, without necessarily having too many items on the agenda that the board must conduct. And really, the conversation about management at most regular board meetings, it's always overlooked. In fact, there's so many other things that the board needs.
I would suggest a quarterly meeting after this, and then after that, semi-annual when things are humming. Okay? Good. I'll defer to you, Denny. Please go ahead.
No, to me, there was, we wanted to answer any specific questions that the board had in regards to the processing of the invoice for the sheriffs. We've gone over it at length with you, of course, and addressed it with our head of accounting for North Florida, and you made him available to you to answer any questions. Also wanted to address any questions or concerns about the taxes being filed on time and the notice we received from the IRS that I think we've now sent, I know we've sent to all the board where they were filed on time, certified receipt requested. The $300 penalty has been waived, and it was just an instance where the IRS was missing documentation that we strongly believe and have proof that was sent to them in the past, yet it became an issue and questioned the integrity of First Service, I believe, by members of the board, which I found was unfounded, honestly. Not giving us the opportunity to follow through on it and get you the answers. It was immediately presented to me, or I felt, and I apologize if that was incorrectly, that the board was questioning First Service's integrity in completing those documents and providing them to the IRS.
I probably would use the word competence as opposed to integrity. I think integrity is deliberate. And I went through all of that documentation that was sent, and we keep calling it an IRS issue, and you called it an IRS issue, Rose. But when I examine all of that correspondence in detail, I see nothing from the IRS except for our tax return. All of the punitive correspondence came from the Florida Department of Revenue.
Yes,
Do we mean the Florida Department of Revenue
No,
as opposed to the
The
IRS?
IRS contacted me,
I see no IRS correspondence in
they
it.
called me, that's why I sent it out.
So the IRS did call.
Yes, he called me.
One of the faxes that we sent, one was to the Department of Revenue, one was to the IRS. Even though it wasn't requested from the Department of Revenue, we sent it to both, just to cover all bases.
Where's our correspondence from the IRS? None of the board
We
members.
did not receive correspondence from the IRS. Rose did because she was still listed as the president of the board. That's why they contacted her.
Can you provide that correspondence to the board for our records?
Send it to you.
She gave me the letter, but when I looked at it, it was the same letter that we had already received.
From the
It
Department
was
of
the same
Revenue.
when I emailed you from the Department of Revenue.
Well, the Florida Department of Revenue is a very different entity than the Internal Revenue Service. We don't have any you have correspondence from the IRS?
Just what I got from her and a telephone call that
And that's
the
not ours,
gentleman
it's
said
Florida
I'm from
Department
the
of Revenue.
IRS.
Okay,
He did say that he was from
Okay.
the IRS.
okay. We didn't see anything from the IRS. All we've seen is correspondence from the Florida Department of Revenue.
Yes.
Okay, which are two completely different legal entities.
Yes, but when you send out the 1128, it goes to the Department of IRS as well.
Yes.
So that's probably why.
All I'm saying is we have none of us, your board, has seen any IRS correspondence. Only
No.
Florida Department of Revenue.
Right.
Okay, so that was it. And then Danny, I'm sorry, pardon me, Fernando. Danny, originally Rose said that she, after she executed the forms, directed Lauren Wheeler to mail them return receipt requested,
I did all of them.
right? Then, when we came back and asked y'all, you said that Lauren had received no such request or directive from Rose. So that's where there started to be a communication gap, is Rose clearly said that she directed Lauren to send them. Someone from your staff, you or Diana, said that they checked with Lauren, and Lauren stated that she had received no such direction to send them return receipt requested, which would immediately have proven if we had sent them on top.
No, I did that with every one of them.
Then we came back and we didn't get return receipt requested, but a couple days later, or a short time later, we received return receipt requested for I think, the Florida Department of Revenue correspondence, if I remember correctly, so.
We pulled the file. Lauren Wheeler had moved on to two other properties. Don't know if she recalled exactly what she sent, so I had Cheryl pull the file when she came back, but she wasn't available that day. She pulled both the 2012 and 2013 taxes. The files were completely intact. Certainly your files are welcome to go see. And they included every bit of documentation that we scanned and sent to you that showed that they were sent certified.
Good, so all future correspondence for any governmental agency, particularly tax returns and file, needs to get sent to return receipt.
Okay.
And keep a copy in the file, please.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we've covered that from our side enough. Anything from your side?
Yeah, there is a question, and some voters face this question, based on the date the board of directors hold their annual meeting and elections. Most associations don't want to go through the additional expense of updating the uniform business report twice a year. As you know, the state requires from January 1st through May 1st that the uniform business report be refiled with updated information. If a annual meeting, an election takes place past the May 1st deadline, and there's a transition that takes place between the board members, and we have new set of officers, new directors altogether, typically the associations have held off until January 1 to refile the uniform business report in order to save a few dollars that it costs to do that.
I think that would be a prerogative of a former board member, whether they wanted their name off that or not. I would assume so. Who wins, right? So I think that we should, next time we have an election, that's mid-year, with a change in the officers of the board, then we should refile.
So then the budget line item in future years, the budget line item should be updated to $150 a year, because it would be basically twice that the association would have to, because January 1, you have to refile, and you have until May 1st. You have no choice. It's an unfortunate thing, but that's the way that the state has set up the process of the corporations and their filing requirements. So that means that each year, January 1, a UBR will be filed. And then, of course, after the annual election, another UBR will be filed with the new board of directors. Hopefully, if it's the same board of directors, then that may not be required. But if there is a substantial change, then we need to refile it again.
Okay.
We do have confirmation that has been refiled and the current board is listed in the corporation.
And then Danny, the sheriff's office, we've talked about that since the board got elected. We had almost a 60-day pay to them and a 45-day pay to them. Since we have made a board resolution to open local checking to cover what was a chronic issue, the last October remittance paid in November to the off-duty officers was very timely. I know that your regional accounting director pushed that through along with our staff here, and they were paid on a timely basis for October. If that continues on that track record, then we don't have any further issues with the sheriff's office and see little need or very occasional need to use a local checking account. So you've taken care of that. I think.
Can I ask a question on the contract?
Mhm.
Your contract with the sheriff gives no definitive time frame on when payment is to received after we receive invoices. What is the board's direction on when's a reasonable amount of time for them to get paid after they submitted?
The previous history, under the previous board and the previous president, before Abbott, they were paid in 10 days to 14 days from the time they submitted their timesheet, and they were more than happy with that. It was through the transition from, and look, I don't have the crystal ball whether it was an Abbott issue, whether it was a new staff issue, or the period of time that it takes to get entered into Abbott. I don't know how you, as a board, approved them in the past. Now they come to Abbott, which I'm sure you're familiar with. I don't know how quick you approved the timesheets in the past, but simply put, at the odd correlation of a new board and a new CAM, who I think is very competent, they started getting slow pay, and they were very vocal about it. And we have lost half of our off-duty deputies through the slow pay. At the same time, in the middle of the year, we started asking for W-9s and forms that were probably more appropriately requested at the beginning of the year or any time a new person came on duty that we didn't have a previous pay record with. So we frustrated them with that. We probably had a little bit of a learning curve on the paperwork, but security and safety for our residents is of our highest priority here. And it was at the situation that we could no longer tolerate it. And we talked about that in detail, and we gave you plenty of months to cure that. We want to pay them, to answer your question precisely again, no more than 14 days from the submittal of a correct time sheet.
Our system will allow for that, and I think you'll continue to see.
I think we also, at the last board meeting, made a resolution, the corporate staff wasn't here, to change our cut date to Friday.
Which will allow us to.
The question that we have on the same subject is, if we cut on Friday, when does it make the mail? Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Right.
Well, your fellow told me absolutely not. So they're cut on Friday, but they're not mailed for several more days.
If they're cut in our Orlando office, they're mailed before she leaves that day. Absolutely, Renee mails them. And I think that's where the change is gonna be, that we will have these checks cut from our Orlando office by Renee, who's our on-site accounting. So they would be mailed before she leaves the office. That may mean that it goes out Saturday, because the mail may have come before 5 o'clock.
Where were they cut previously?
Hollywood, where our check distribution center is down in South Florida.
Okay, so you've changed that to Altamont?
Yes.
And so if a check is cut on Friday, does the mailman come to your office and pick up mail, or do you put it in a mailbox?
The mail service comes to a distribution center in our office that picks up all the mail for that entire
So let's
office.
say a check's cut Friday at 3 o'clock, after the mail's already been picked up for Friday. Are they indoctrinated into a Saturday mail sort, or is it not till Monday?
I don't know that.
Yeah, we do have Saturday.
You do, okay,
So,
thank you.
And that's how they're done at Hampton, right? They're cut in our office.
Good, I interrupted you on a comment. Okay, anything else on the sheriff's? Okay, Danny, go ahead.
The other thing that we wanted to discuss today was the refund of the check from Artisan. Certainly that's been a very, very difficult situation for all of us to face. The real quick history, the previous board had approved the work to be done, a deposit was made, and then subsequent to Catherine coming on board, changing a check was cut for the balance of the work that should have not been cut. That certainly we feel is on first service. So if April doesn't make good for North Shore to receive their payment on the 25th, First Service will make that payment to North Shore for that $16,000 check that was sent in error by a First Service manager that was on site. And it will be up to us to get our money back from Artisan. The original deposit that was placed based on decision of the previous board still is in negotiations with April. If she was to ever do substantial work out here, she could maybe apply that. I've received texts and emails that she doesn't know if she wants to continue to do work out here. She doesn't trust us. She doesn't trust the board. She doesn't trust whether she'll get her money. So we may or may not see that money. We just may not. But that was the decision that was made when the previous board made that deposit, and then the new board canceled the contract. That deposit, unless we want to try to pursue it legally, certainly up to the board to decide if they want to do that. But in my talk and negotiations with April, I am not clear at all whether or not she will bid on any new work, and if she does, if she will apply that to any new work she gets.
How much is that again?
Two comments to that, Danny. Number one, the motion that was made and approved at the board meeting and whoever approved the checks are not the same. My motion was for far less than somebody signed off on invoices. So I have some heartburn with whoever approved those invoices in the past. Second of all, I really don't care if that vendor ever wants to bid our work again. They've proven to be overpriced. So don't let that bother anybody.
Absolutely, I understand.
The other issue is, remember from that explicit board meeting, when I went in and approved the disputed invoices to Artisan for our normal gate repair, which we were holding as leverage, Danny said quite profoundly that he would do a in-person check exchange with that, and that we would also get a letter from April agreeing to the balance of that invoice, the other $10,000, to be used to the future gate, which we think that we're going to use for the beach volleyball court. So we already have a home for that money. So not only do we not get the $17,000-ish refund check, but we do not get a letter for the other $10,000 towards future work, which is supposed to be done in a hand exchange and should have been taken care of almost 2 months ago. And that's where my highest level of heartburn is.
And that's why I take full responsibility. Those checks were cut and mailed, and they shouldn't have been. I tried to stop them, and it was an error on our part. That's why we are committed to make good to North Shore that $17,000 that's due to them. I remember in my meeting and in my notes that I said I would continue to negotiate with April to get a letter. I did not guarantee that I would get a letter that would be used, but that would be the driving point of that conversation, was to get a letter from her that would apply that $8,000 or that deposit, whatever that dollar amount is, to any future work. Still could happen. I don't know. She's, regardless of where she is right now, I mean, I know she's in the hospital, she's fighting cancer. She's very difficult to get in touch with. She's not talking to me, not responding to me, other than my last communication with her is that I would have that check on November 25th. And if I don't have it, then we will deposit, First Service will deposit that money into North Shore account.
And that goes into reserve, Cheryl. Danny, I'm not gonna tell you how to run your business, but if I was you and Fernando, I would leverage your other properties, work with Artisan, until you can get what she promised you, because she told you on the phone, which I was not party to, but you relayed to me and the other board members, that there would be a check exchange. So we paid her, whether it got mailed out accidentally or not, she got paid in whole. And she still, nowadays, she's been paid now almost 50, 60 days, hasn't given us our refund that she promised to you. And look, and you don't control her checkbook, so we certainly give you a degree of latitude there. But she did tell you that she was amicable to credit the other money, about 10 grand of our residents' money, towards future work, which we had already scheduled in this beach volleyball court along the pool. So she's really done two things. So she's lied to you. She hasn't delivered the check to you that she promised. You don't control her checkbook. We give you that. However, you do a hell of a lot of work at Artisan and the numerous communities that you manage. And I would think that anybody that lied to you and your company would no longer be a vendor in good standing in anything that First Service represents. And I strongly recommend that you leverage your other properties with her, get this back.
And pardon me, but that's the reason why we're taking that off the shoulders of the commercial board of directors by making sure you get refund from your mail.
Well, $17,000 doesn't make us whole, Fernando.
Oh.
26,000 makes us whole.
Well, at least that portion of it. And then from the standpoint of the additional work that we would like to have done to that particular area, we'd be more than happy to look at some of our other vendors, and bring them in and add those components to the association at no cost to the association.
Well, April missed her window to remain a vendor in good standing with us by reneging on her promises.
So we would expect a full refund from her, and if not, whatever.
Yeah, because at this point, if she's not gonna pay the money, then we are owed a whole bunch of fence material, even if they don't install it. So,
Correct.
she either needs to cut a check or deliver the materials.
Yeah.
Correct.
And John, this is really your expertise, so you,
Yeah, it's unjust enrichment at this point on their part. Either cut a check or deliver what we paid for, and we'll figure out a way to sell it and get our money back.
yeah, or we can use it towards the volleyball or whatever.
Yeah.
Good.
You gotta take into account the labor costs versus the material costs as well.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, the association will be made whole. Is what it's-
Completely whole
Yes, sir.
for the entire 27,000.
I mean, it's not that I don't disagree with that, but it was the previous board. However, as Mr. Baker said, however, they approved it,
Understand.
the work, and then the board also approved for that person to get paid.
The previous board approved an amount that was less than was contracted with Artisan. So then you have fiduciary issue, if you want to go into that. So
Well,
we cut Artisan the check far more than was approved in the board minutes.
The second check, the first check was less than what was.
It was, but that was referenced of a combination of a higher amount. Check
When
one
was the
of
second
that.
check cut? What date?
Catherine Harrington was here as the manager and showed up and she approved it and got cut.
Catherine Harrington wasn't here when I was on the board. Oh, yes, she was.
And she was.
It's very similar to the Sun Army. We cut a check to commence the work
Someone?
for the playground.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a second check that's here that will be paid once they finish the work after Mr. Baker and another board member inspects it, and they'll be paid in whole. So you have the commencement check, and then you have the balance check, but the balance check isn't gonna be done until the work is finished. What happened is First Service released the startup check and the pay in full check before one iota of work got done.
No, Dave, somebody authorized more work than was approved by the board.
That is well.
John, who authorized more work? I need to see those statements, John. You're making a statement I don't recall.
The board approved $20,000 and more than $20,000 of fencing got ordered. Is in the board minutes.
More than 20,000?
Yes, ma'am. And we all had that, we'll, of course, make it available to you as a resident and as a board member.
Yeah.
But absolutely. Okay, what else have we got? What else have you got on your list, Danny?
That's all I have on this.
Okay. John, have you got some points you want to comment on?
No, I'm good, guys.
Yeah, I guess we can take up some of the invoices that have been piling up. for all these demand letters that you guys send out. Going through, some of the paperwork in here is not accurate, and it seems that we're being billed rather excessively for, and I know it's our contract, $25 per letter. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. When I went through these bills here, July 31st, we get a bill for $19,212. And there's basically just a bunch of reminder notices for different dates. Then I get another one for $4,700. Notes for 14 Jan, 14 Feb, 14 March. I start going through them. Lo and behold, they go back to 09, 2010, 2011, 2012, which leads me to believe how many of these are actually accurate, because there's nothing that is attached with these at all.
So we just need to back up.
Well, the other thing is, here we are 2014, a new board. Why wasn't this billed within 90 days of that happening? Why are we getting bills from 09, 2010, 2011? And I'm wondering if any of these are getting double billed in here now.
Most likely they're not. The fact that they're 2009,
Let me see. if I
we
can-
have done an audit over the last couple of years. We've done audits going back, make sure that we had received payment on all of the correspondence that was sent out. Audit did reveal that there were some components that were not, so automatically it generates the invoice once we flag it. But I would be more than happy to look at those.
Yeah, and my other question is, apparently Abbott came in June of this year. So how do I know all this stuff is accurate when you guys input it and everything? It just seems very suspicious in my opinion.
I understand, but in the transition, again, to Abbott, we performed a substantial audit of all invoices that have been billed in the past and never paid, or items that were not necessarily billed. Once they were discovered, they were flagged into our system, and those invoices were generated.
Rose,
That should come up.
John and Rose, to the best of your knowledge, Rose, when you left office as board president, and John, while you served on the board, when you left, Rose, were there any Avid First Service invoices that were in dispute that hadn't been paid?
Yeah, but I went through $23,000 worth, as you did. And they were all.
I'm not aware of anything, because I didn't discover the fence thing until after the new board took over.
Yeah, so I guess for the record, Danny and Fernando, there was no invoices that were in dispute that would have been held from our end.
Understood.
So, just not too long ago, we received an invoice that was 14 months old for tens of thousands of dollars. And, we're in a whole new fiscal year, we're in a whole new budget. And in my contracts with my clients, my contract with Walmart, anything that we don't invoice them in 90 days, we eat. You sent us an invoice from last summer, in the fall of 2014. And, we're trying to budget, we're trying to be good stewards of our community's money. And it's just so stale. And it wasn't something that was in dispute or a uncommon course of business that would have been kicked out. So we need timely and accurate billing, which is probably why you've noticed that we've stopped paying your invoices until we can get a handle around this. Because there's little faith right now in the accuracy of the invoices. 14 months old, let alone 2009, 10, 11, as we're almost done with 2014, is unexpected and unbudgeted.
Understood. We will definitely go back and review those and provide any details to them. And if not, as you indicated, we'll look to our corporate accounting department to basically good those costs.
The Abbott issues, to go back to that, wasn't just the sheriff's office. We had been threatened by Duke Power to have our utilities shut off and our electric shut off. So there were, as well as our telecommunications. So we had several vendors that were impacted by the Avid switchover, which caused us some trauma. I think going forward, when you make something as drastic a change as your accounts payable system, you need to give us some notice. We didn't realize as a board until fairly far along into it. In fact, I think till Rose commented on it, that Avid was not even a proprietary in-house product of her service, that was a third-party vendor.
Quite frankly, Avid was the move that we had to make as an organization. In 2012, towards the end of 2012, and most of 2013, there were a substantial amount of fraudulent bank activities throughout the country. Every major organization internal systems were basically, after utilizing several consultants throughout the country, it came back to us that major organizations that are experiencing these issues, it was due to the fact that they were utilizing their own internal AP systems that had a direct link to the financial institutions that were being serviced. So the option that was presented to our company was to look to 3 or 4 organizations that provide the service with superior encryption and also a buffer zone, so to speak, that if indeed something does get paid out of their system, there is a lag time hitting the financial institution in the way that they're set up. If a fraudulent activity is discovered within a period of time, which we were catching, it would not hit the financial institution at that point in time, allowing us to pull it back. Where in proprietary systems, which other major companies have had, in fact, you've heard about Target, you've heard about Walmart, their systems are good because they have that direct connect system with the financial institutions. They're now looking to go to different organizations with highly encrypted systems to prevent that fraudulent activity.
And Fernando, we certainly understand the premise of having that type of system in place. I think a little bit more notice, whether it was to us or to some of our essential vendors that were switching accounts payable system, and we may have some hiccups. We came in and took all the heat for that. The next issue.
If I can keep going along with this,
Okay,
right?
I'm sorry.
And Diana, this may be more your area. On the future letters that come in, it says collection cost for minor letters, UFB, $210. I don't know what UFB means, and I don't know what time frame this covers or anything. I see there's $210. What does that mean? We need to have more specifics exactly.
We'll get all the detail.
Yeah, it seems too generic to me. And another one's UFB, $725, collection cost demand letters. And in dealing with these demand letters also, I don't believe the owners, when they receive these, take them seriously because they're not probably worded strong enough of the impact that not paying their HOA dues has. I think we need to rewrite it, and I'd be willing to take that in-house instead of you guys have the same letter that you send out to all your communities, because it's got to be more direct. Let them know they're going to get hit hard if they don't pay. Because it's sad, you see a homeowner come in here for a $5,000 bill, and they're getting sacked with $21,000. That, to me, that's wrong, and we shouldn't be doing that. If they know in advance how much that could cost them, they'll drastically reduce from the deadbeats that aren't paying. You know what I'm saying? So we need to look at rewording those letters a lot more direct and firmer, so we can get a point across to the homeowners.
Okay.
Along those lines as well, $25 a piece. I know it's in the contract, I read that.
Great.
There is no way those things cost $25 to produce.
It's the fee that has been established in
Yeah, I understand
basically
that.
all association management
And
companies for the most part.
we'd like to negotiate that lower, because I think that's unfair to the homeowner, and it's unfair to the association, because in dealing with this,
Well, I will say that it's a derivative of really associations. Associations throughout the years, I would say back 20 years ago, the standard fee was about $5. That was about the standard fee.
that may be a
They
little.
saw very little impact
Yeah.
to individuals who were not paying their association dues on time. So the trend went upward, and over the last decade and a half, the fee had climbed to roughly about $25 across the board, as pressed by the associations primarily, because that was a number that they felt, and historically, we saw that there were owners paying more frequently and on time, because the fee was substantial. There was some teeth to the penalty for not paying.
Right.
So it's really a derivative of what associations have created for themselves over time. So management has adapted to that number. There are association management companies that charge even more than the $25 fee. We try to stay with that standard. And in fact, there's a few documents, several documents, association documents that even state a $25 fee, because that has become somewhat of a standard. So that's the reason for the $25 fee. It has more bite, more grip. It really creates more of an impact on individuals that are not wanting to pay.
May I make a suggestion for you, Don?
What's that?
So if you were trying to negotiate that number down, you could still have it as a $25 fee to the residents, but then only try to negotiate them getting a smaller cut, and the HOA gets it, and that way, when somebody comes in, you could say, we're gonna waive that fee, the association would then not be losing $25, maybe they're losing $10, but still the teeth are there with a higher number.
Well, as it stands now, you guys take the $25, right?
Right.
Well, we've seen associations take this on, as you indicated earlier, with an on-site office. They've taken this particular component on, and they've grown revenue. We have both scenarios working in various associations.
So if we do a study to consider taking that in-house, that's
Yeah.
not offensive.
I have several associations that,
Or maybe just split the fee.
again, that could be
Okay,
negotiable.
We're gonna review that then.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
I think that we're, with Cheryl's new hire, we're fully staffed now. Do you have anything else?
The other thing I'd like to clear it up on is it 9669 at Pacific Pines? Danny, I thought you were gonna give us, that was a special case, and you were gonna shed some information on that when you were at the last board meeting back in September, when that homeowner was here, and nothing came to light. Are you familiar with that?
No, sir.
Okay,
Okay, for those of us who don't know,
669.
69 Pacific Pines is a community-owned property. The previous board entered into a lease with the homeowner. Their property has gone unpaid, the rent and dues for a significant period of time, creating a balance that's approaching $40,000. We finally had 37, plus we finally had to have the sheriff physically evict that person on Friday. And of course, they stole our appliances, as well as not return the property to us in a clean and just manner. So I guess several questions on that. Number one, Rose, since you're here, if you don't mind, from your previous capacity, how can we have a rental house that we entered into an agreement with, that the homeowner never pays us the first dollar of rent or dues, and then we give them a new extension and a new lease afterwards, and they never paid us $1?
I think John and I both can answer that.
Sure, go ahead.
We asked for reports stating who owed what, and we did not get it. So, and I'm not putting it on for service. I don't know why we weren't getting the reports, as we had asked to, and I'm not finger pointing, to know what was being paid and what was not. That is the manager's job, and we were assuming that manager was taking care of the situation. They were supposed to be taking care of the situation. It's just like their payment plans. We ask for a payment plan worksheet every month, the board meeting. And I was considered micromanaging when I was asking for them.
Okay, Danny,
So there you go.
Diana, how do we have a property that we own that goes almost 3 years without collecting a dollar of rent or dues? Almost $40,000.
Why would you renew a lease?
Well, we renewed the lease, but we
I'm sorry,
we've had quite a few.
and by the way, the lease renewal was not even signed by a board member, it was signed by Maria? Marja.
That's
Is
not
that-
uncommon. As the property
Maria's involved.
manager at the
No,
Hamptons, I
here they
signed
were
the
not
lease.
allowed to sign any of that. The only
But
thing,
that's not uncommon.
the manager here was allowed to only sign the indebtedness of the,
So how do we go to our community, our residents, with almost 10% of our receivables tied up in one property, have a property go almost 3 years without collecting a dollar in rent or dues?
Well, I'm not gonna say that that's right. However, even if we did receive rent, per Florida statute, you don't apply rent to the receivables. So even if we did receive rent, the receivable still accrues. That was in the legal update.
Well, how did we not get notice as a
recently,
board
we
or the
were
old ones?
told, that went back and forth, you know.
It did go back and
Yeah,
forth.
and Paul Meany suggested that it go on to the account. And others were
I know.
also doing it onto the
We
account.
never did.
Well, based on what I'm hearing, we need to
You need to
dig
look
and
into it.
get the details, just,
Here's the address, it's 90,
9669 Pacific Pines,
we'll.
And the other thing too,
we're close to 40 grand.
man, the
How much
homeowners,
is that rent and legal fees? Is it all just rent?
Legal fees and dues.
dues and I think interest.
So how much was this, that doesn't sound like a lot of money for a rental, how much?
Well,
was it?
here's
Rent
the
isn't
deal.
included on the account ledger.
Here's the deal, and Rose, please pipe in here, because I gotta understand how you guys agreed to rent to this person. She stopped paying, or the homeowner stopped paying in '08 on dues. The HOA takes certificate title over, I believe it was in May of 2011.
Mhm.
And by the way, this homeowner is the original homeowner, so if the house went to foreclosure or whatever, usually the homeowner's gone. How does the same person stay in there? We take certificate title, a year later, 2012, enter into a rental agreement at $420 a month. Doesn't pay one dime. 6 months later, the board agrees, keep her in there.
The whole entire board considered at the time, due to the downfall of the association, when we were trying to work with our members and not kick her out, we agreed that we would give it to her, and it was supposed to come to us every 6 months to see what was going, if it's the same person I'm thinking
It
of.
probably is. But again, there's not one dime was paid at that 6 months.
It's
Did
no
anyone
different
say,
than
hey,
how
we
you're
didn't get a dime?
sitting here talking to First Service about cutting back on their service fees due to the, you don't think it's fair to the association. They're doing business. I'm gonna take their side. They're doing business, and they're doing a good business for you.
Well, I
We
beg
did
to
the
differ
same
when we
thing
have
with
something like this slip through the
We
cracks.
did the same thing, and John was involved in it, and the thing of it is, it's because of the time, and everybody was upside down. We were trying to work with the people,
And a
all
lot of
of
people
these
lost their
are-
homes.
but it wasn't
How
us
does
who
this one
put them
stay?
out. No, it wasn't us that put them out. We had.
I know it wasn't us. I'm just saying, someone went above and beyond what was
I
required to
don't
keep
know
this
who you would
family in there.
consider going above and beyond, because there were 5 board members that discussed this.
Well, actually,
And
John wasn't at the
five
one.
board
Yeah,
members
that-
John was
He was
not
not
at the,
there.
he was not at the extension where they were given a renewal, having still never paid $1.
I'll have to
And
review the paperwork.
We have to pick, we have it,
You have it,
and you're welcome,
I'm
and
sorry,
and
I
you're
just
welcome
don't
to
have
see
it
it.
in my head.
So on the
It's been a
original
while.
lease, all 5 board members voted for it.
No, I'm sorry, Dave. On the original lease, 4 board members,
Oh,
John Baker was not there. So
Okay.
he wasn't
And I
privy to
think-
any of this information.
He wasn't privy to what
The
information?
$429 a month lease.
The 420 a month lease, he wasn't there for that. He was there for the second one.
Okay, so
And I'm
why
sure
did
that-
you approve the second one?
Ask Gene Smith why I made the motion to approve it.
It doesn't matter who made the motion, it's 5 people.
So why did it get approved when she never paid us $1
How come she got approved?
for a renewal when she never paid us?
If I recall correctly, we weren't told that she was not paying. Again, I'm going to
Okay,
express.
so that goes back to, how do we have someone stay in
I'm
the
going
house?
to express, David,
Yeah.
that multiple times I requested from First Service managers reports, and I was told, as a president of the board, that I micromanage.
Okay.
So I cut back and let the whole board take care of this, and this is the situation that came about, which irritates me, because Mr. Baker was the one who was telling me I was micromanaging, I was getting in the way. So Mr. Baker is part of the 5-member board, and you can try to cover him as much as you would like.
I'm not trying to cover for him. I'm saying the original one, there was like 4 of you guys were there. He wasn't there.
It
The
doesn't
second one, all
matter,
fine.
he came in on the second one,
And he
he's
could have
still
said
fine.
something. And the
We
board minutes
were-
are pretty, you know,
Okay,
That
doesn't
was,
get a real
so-
detail.
so-
that
so we're-
was
we're-
the decision
so
of the
about-
entire board, working with the members of this association and trying to understand the situation at hand. Now, I know we recorded it. I will be more than happy to share the recording if I can find it.
I'd love to hear it.
Yes, on how she came here with her husband and cried the blues that they
We
lost
heard,
their
we
jobs.
heard the blues
they were
crying
losing-
also.
Okay,
Well,
so,
this
okay.
was during a different time than what you have right now. The economy has changed. We went through the tough time. You're getting pretty easy here.
So
Actually, we're not
okay.
gonna get easy. We got a lot of mess to clean up.
You don't have any messes more than any other board does.
Well, there's quite a bit.
Okay, so acquiescing to what you say, how do we have a homeowner that's almost $40,000 in arrears, that we don't hear about it until we change property management companies about a month and a half, 2 months ago, that says, this home's never been paid? I mean, we pay you guys a heck of a lot of money. How can we be 40 grand in the hole without not even knowing until we change property management companies And the new property management company brings it to our attention that we've never been paid $1 on the original lease, on the renewal, or anything. So whether Rose had a good heart and she did it right, or whether we did it at $420 a month below market, regardless of that, how do we go so long and let our money slip away? We're never gonna get that money now.
Well,
And 40 grand is a pretty significant percentage of our balance owed.
Well,
As large and as relevant.
yeah.
40 grand, we could gate, put cameras on every gate in the community, easily.
Well, the 40 grand is what is up on the ledger. So the rent was at 450.
420, that got all broken
Well,
down.
we-
Yeah, but that's a whole, and that's a different matter. How did we rent a house for $420 a month?
That's one thing. The other thing is, where do those funds, if they were collected, which if they're not collected, according to what we're hearing right now, you're right, how does that go on for that period of time? There's no excuse for that. So we need to finish what I believe Danny was getting started with, look at the information that Diane's provided. I need to look at it for myself, to see exactly what.
Yeah, I mean, it's unsaid that slipped through the cracks. And my other question to you, Rose, is how many more of those are out there? Is she the only one, or are we gonna have more of those? Or why wasn't that standard applied to other people who lost their house? Because a lot of people went through a hard time back in 08.
We didn't create them losing their house. If they came here, we work with them. That's why we made the payment plan policy. They didn't even have to go
That
to the
homeowner got a
attorney.
sweetheart deal, and I wonder if that
Well,
doesn't
you
apply to anybody
know, at
else.
the time, and again, I'll have to go through it, I'm sure the board here has made errors to it, you're that perfect, which I can point out you're not. Okay? These are situations that the 5 board members, or the 4 board members at the first time, as you said, felt comfortable making that decision to assist the homeowner. If you want to keep blaming the other board and finger point to us, you're more than welcome to. But until you sat in our shoes at that time, which I don't see any of you coming to those meetings to see what happened, you have no right to judge in that manner.
I was out of town.
So what
every
I'm
meeting.
asking, I'm sorry,
Fernando,
I'm
Danny,
working
Yes,
too.
sir.
how do we move forward?
No,
I really
John,
don't
you
give a shit
can't,
about
because I'm
the
trying,
rest
they've
of everybody
asked
else
me a
arguing.
question,
How does
John.
Danny and Cheryl make sure we have an accurate log so that we don't lose track of rental houses in the future?
Well, I mean,
That's all I need to know, that we're gonna fix it.
that exercise, from what I understand, has already been conducted and to be provided to the CPAs. So that's already been done. So I'd like to have an opportunity to look at that with the team as well,
And moving-
especially in this one case.
And we'd like to have some more feedback, so we don't consider that closed, okay?
That's it.
And moving forward, John, Cheryl and I are working together so that she can document every month. We were going to put together a spreadsheet, but she only has 1 unit at the moment.
Mr. Baker, if I should
Right,
just
thank
say
you.
something,
You're
you
welcome.
have all the documentation the rest of the board had. You have the old payment plans, you have all this information. Why don't you submit it to Cheryl? It would help her.
Well,
You have all
Cheryl,
the same
well,
documentation
Cheryl
I
should
have.
have all that, and of course of our record keeping, right?
Do they have it all in there? Because when I requested it,
Can I just answer John's question? I talked to our GL person, and she has already created a spreadsheet, even though it's only one home, she wanted to do this. So our accountant is, and all for expenses as well. She's keeping track of the rents and the expenses to put the house back together again, so.
Anything else on that?
I think we could beat that.
No, good, okay, you'll get back to us on some discovery on that, okay?
Well, definitely.
Okay. It was a minor point, we've already beat this up, and Danny, you did take the high road on it, but you saw what happened from a legal standpoint between Rose and Jean, that we didn't update the signatures on the bank accounts fast enough. It was just another one of the issues that have kind of piled onto the mountain that we're at today.
Can I ask what issue that was?
We did not, in Rose and Jean's, if I'm gonna paraphrase them, feel free to jump in, Rose, because you were the party of that. When the new board came in, signature cards were not updated in a manner that was timely enough to them, so that during the course of our ongoing business activity, paying vendors, which we do virtually every day here, the checks that were issued still reflected the previous board, president, and vice president on the physical check and stuff. There was no fraud involved, there was nothing devious involved, but even when Steve Ballmer resigns from Microsoft today, they go take over the Clippers, The next day, they then changed all their bank accounts to reflect whoever replaced him as a signatory on that account. However, Rose and Jean took exception to that,
And the reason why we just didn't want to feel responsible for the checks that we did not approve the invoices. We wanted to make sure that the board knew that we did not see the invoices, although the checks had our names on them, which Mr. Baker and anybody on the board could come back, or a new board could come back and say that we paid something that we didn't even know we paid.
How did they bring that to your attention?
legal notice.
Like, as in, like, they filed police charges, or as in, like, a lawyer?
Gene said he filed a sheriff's report. Gene Smith, former board vice president, noted that he filed a sheriff's report for fraud and illegal use of mark and signature. And then we received a legal notice letter from combined from Rose and from Gene combined.
So it doesn't sound like they were just trying to throw the big meat, filing a police report as opposed to, whatever, okay, I'm sorry.
And named the new board as,
Even though that's nothing to do with you guys.
as far as, well,
Well, the board members are supposed to know, Chuck, that's their responsibility.
You know that checks went out the day they became,
It doesn't
The board?
matter, it didn't cease until August.
you can move on, I'm sorry, I was just,
June.
No.
some clarification.
checks definitely went out with the name of the previous board on it, which we didn't think was a big deal because there was no fraud. In fact, none of us as a new board approved any of those checks.
Yeah,
We weren't-
neither did
We weren't trained in that.
But I have to.
However-
I have to take
However,
my
they-
license.
we could not have shut down the community for a month. Because
But
after
you
not,
can't call and ask us, do you?
I understand that, I was not aware of the protocol, and that's why we have cams and things like that. And that was the transition between Catherine and Cheryl. I mean, it was,
I understand,
Yeah.
but I also have a license I have to take care of.
I'm not taking exception. I know Duke Power wouldn't have let us put it on hold, so we understand that.
But if, may I
But I'm
just
sorry,
make a
this is part
suggestion?
of, this is
Yeah,
part of
I
our
know,
business
but-
review for service, so we're noting a
Yeah.
deficiency
No, and I
there.
agree with you, but I just wanna make sure that you understand where I'm coming from. I'm not going after the board.
No,
If you had, said something, or if First Service had said something about you need extra time, I would have been more than happy to come up here with a board member and say, okay, what do you want us to pay for you? And use our signatures, but that never happened.
I'm sorry,
So you can move forward.
actually, at the election night, when the results were done, Gene did very overtly say, and we have it recorded, I will make this a smooth transition, I'll do everything in my power to facilitate and assist the new board. However, if you and Gene hadn't done a legal action, we still might be using your signatures. It probably would have gone unnoticed. Just like the Secretary of State filing, that didn't get noticed until the IRS looked up who
But
was.
this did come to a board meeting, David. I sat at a board meeting, I have it recorded, and Danny did bring this to the board's attention in regards to.
Right, after we got legal notice.
Mhm. Prior to, yes, because you asked, Mr. Zorinba, you asked how the bills were getting paid,
Mhm.
and Danny made comment that they are getting paid.
Yes,
And I came out and I said, I hope it's not with my signature. And he said, no.
I don't know that part, but I do know that Danny was making sure our bills got paid, so our power and utilities didn't get shut off.
And I agree. There's all different ways to assist.
Got it, okay. Anything you want to cover?
I don't think he responded to that. Just as,
What was
Who didn't
there wasn't a question?
there
There
was.
wasn't a question.
Well,
I was just making a
I
statement.
will say that,
Then he did let him know.
I will say that, you know, in the future, we will definitely work to move those signatures along, a lot quicker. And I apologize on behalf of our company for causing any rift between owners and the board, for allowing it to go for, you know, the 3 or 4 week period that it did. The two check runs, I believe, that were involved in that process, so I apologize for that.
And let me tell you, Fernando, from my perspective, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the rest of the board, I found it to be a minor matter. I thought Danny did an exceptional job of stepping up to the plate and covering any exposure that we had, as well as quickly rectifying it. So for me, of all the hundreds of things that we have faced as a new board, I found this to be microscopic and handled, that was our first really tough deal, and it handled extremely well. I thought he did an exceptional job at that, and it was overlooked. And, you know, maybe when we leave the board, we'll leave a checklist for the next board of things that we encountered.
What is
including
this?
signature cards and things.
What is the SOP on that? Like, do most boards typically get the signature change over in a day?
I got it going as quickly as possible. There were some members that were out of town. We had to FedEx it to them, get signatures, have them FedEx. One was actually out of the country. So I did it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Randolph is a little tough to pin down. Hey, we want you guys to review of us. We're all pretty busy. You know, I'm putting in 15, 20 hours a week on board business. Cheryl is working her behind off. I don't know when she sleeps. We want you to review of us before you pull staff out of the office. We like that courtesy. We want to do habit training. We want to do legal training. We want to do management, continuing education. But when I come in here, or Donna comes in here, or Mark comes in here, and Cheryl's not here for a day or 2 days, and she gets well and deserved time off, we want to know when you pull people out and for what reason. And I think that's a courtesy for us. And we've been surprised, okay? We're happy with Cheryl's performance. We respect that Cheryl is uncovering a lot of mediocre work by her predecessors. And I think we have a good team assembled now under her leadership. And I myself, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the whole board, have no issues. We like to return calls, but she's working her butt off a little faster. So Danny, the next thing from our list is why don't you address staff turnover? And of course, as we beat up pretty significant complaints towards previous staff prior to Catherine. So we've gone through a lot of CAMs during the Continental and First Service tenure. And our residents, we've gotten a lot of requests to, number one, they recognize it's better, but certainly a lot of people have asked us to replace the property management company because of the attitude that they experience coming in and speaking up. I don't know who I should speak to. Because of the attitude and experience they had with the predecessors to Cheryl and Catherine, both of which we thought were good. Catherine's a lot more detail oriented. Cheryl was like everyone's favorite grandma, you know.
You mean vice versa?
You mean vice versa?
No, because Catherine's very detail oriented.
This is.
Oh, it's Cheryl, very detail.
He does it all the time.
I do all the time. Vice versa. So what do you address that? Because that comes up a lot. As recently as last week, I had people pin me in the gym and say, when are we getting a new property management company? You know, we've replaced the landscapers, we've put the attorneys under review, we're gonna try a new accounting firm. And we know that there's a lot of scale in what you do. We knew that a lot of what you do is hard to replicate. But when we have somebody that comes in the office 2-3 times a year and they're treated poorly, they don't forget that. It's a whole different experience now, but that comes up. You know, maybe in our newsletter, you guys should take a paragraph and portion of, hey, this is your property manager. Cheryl's got a piece, and things that you're doing to and help enhance our neighborhood and lower costs.
I would definitely like that opportunity, John,
So,
give us a little bit more exposure. We started this community with a gentleman by the name of Tim Clinton. And Tim was here for a good while and performed quite well. At that point in time, he was removed from the property. The property was going through a change. Every property goes through various life cycles throughout their existence. You know, one of the things that we found for a period of time is that we just could not find the right mix for the community. We had a couple of failed attempts. When Catherine came in, I think Catherine did a good technical job, but we do realize that, you know, sometimes Catherine can be a little rough around the edges sometimes with folks, although she did get along with basically the majority of the members of this community.
we didn't see that. We saw Catherine had a great personality. She was always interested. She was not as technically savvy as Cheryl, and probably not as detail-oriented as Cheryl. And she was easily intimidated by technology and
Sure.
data. But from a personality, she's a 10.
Yeah, she has a good personality, but we've heard from other sources that, you know, she tended to irritate sometimes, from time to time. But again, nothing substantial. She was well liked by most folks in the I believe now with Film Place, I believe that we have, that hopefully that bookend from Tim, because Tim, I believe, was also extremely well liked in the community for a good long while, before he was removed from the property, needing to have that change at that point in time. So we do believe that, we have a good manager now, and, we stand behind her, and, we believe that she'll not only work extremely well with the board and the community members, but also, extremely well liked.
Well, I think we're fully staffed. Cheryl and I will talk about Chris a little bit, but we don't want to have turnover. For the time being, there's a long learning curve between the new Ken coming in. And Catherine never got up to speed. And we don't want to do that anymore. So I'm not saying she's got to be here for the rest of our tenure on our lives, but we don't want to have repetitive tenure. It will severely affect our relationship.
I understand.
Good, okay. And most of it is the learning curve. Okay, great. What else have you got? John, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good for now, guys, thank you.
Good. Hey, can you answer one question candidly for us, please? Because
Sure.
this comes up a lot. Hey, John, and you might want to listen to this. So I just got to get it on the record. Which vendors do we work with today that are vendors that are existing for North Shore and vendors that you have proposed to North Shore that you receive enumeration or fees from?
You're saying that I've received?
No, not you, John. No, not you. For service.
I recall.
Okay.
I mean, we've had presented some of the companies which are first service organizations.
Like pros. What's your landscaping company?
New Brothers.
New Brothers.
Yeah, they were never retained.
Okay. ACR, you receive any remuneration or binder fees or commissions for them? Okay.
There's only one organization that has ever offered that to us, and that is Waste Management. And we gladly accept it. However, we accept it to the extent that each year our associations receive a check back for that equal amount for those services. So,
As you pull it?
yes.
Okay. No attorneys, nothing?
Yeah.
Okay.
The attorneys do attend our seminars and conduct board certification classes.
As we enjoy from being paid?
Exactly.
Okay.
So they do that free of charge.
So for the record, there's no one that we have an ongoing relationship with or that you have presented to us that you receive any remuneration? So we can say that to our residents?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, okay.
I mean, if the board is aware of any comments that have been made about any particular vendor, I'd like to know, because that would definitely be in violation, not only of our policies of the company, but as you are all aware, we are publicly traded, and that would not weigh in very well with our shareholders.
Sure. It's good that you said that, and we could be adamant about defending that thesis.
Absolutely.
But we simply didn't know that to be gospel.
I mean, of all things I've heard here today, that would be the one that would actually send me to the roof.
In all due respect, Fernando, there were several things here that we found to be important and essential.
I agree, and I don't mean to
Make light of it, I
make light
understand.
of it, but I will say that the one thing that I always tell every prospect association that we bid on when we do our presentation, and I do make a promise, and there's just one promise that I make. I'm very adamant about that promise. And that promise is that we will absolutely make mistakes. Because, we're an organization of people. And when people are handling transactions, people are handling information, people are communicating information, we tend to drop the ball as people, because we are human. But it's how we step up and own up to those mistakes and work very diligently to make them right. And that's something that our company has always done. We've made mistakes here at North Shore over the years. Human mistakes, human. And for each and every one of those, if you go back through history, the association has been compensated for those mistakes that have cost the association any time, any energy, done that repeatedly here. Not to say that we've made a mountain of mistakes, but, you know, that sometimes unfortunately it comes in streams. And actually it turns into rivers and then falls. I would consider this period probably to be the fall, okay, where we had quite a few things going on at once. But since the inception, not only this account, every account we've ever had, even when we felt that it was not necessarily our fault. And I'll give you a quick story, I don't mean to take up your time. We had a building that we were intimately involved with. We painted the entire building, it was $110,000 painting opportunity. The board, along with management, we were looking at sample colors because they received the approval from their association members to change the color of the building. The board decided we wanted this color. We advised them against that color, but they wanted that color. Once the first coat of paint was put on that west wing, and two of the board members were driving home that afternoon, they pulled us aside and said, "Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness." So we, as an organization, went out and not only worked with our vendor, because of the relationships, and we made an excellent point earlier about our leveraging our relationships with vendors that were at several properties. We went ahead and had that entire order of paint scrapped, and we actually paid for the replacement of that paint. So it's something that we do as an organization because we do realize and recognize, and when I say that in my pitches, all my sales pitches, we will make mistakes, I promise you that.
Well, we're gonna make mistakes too. I mean, we're a volunteer board. None of us are professional board members. We're professional people. And we don't have the patent on this. There are some things that they did really well. There are some things that we're gonna do different. It's just our individual take on it. Candidly, I think you should get your money back from Artisan, both the refund and the credit. I don't think you guys should either. At the end of the day, we want to be whole. If you're gonna make us whole, the thing that I would think is, how do we have a house go 40 grand into the hole about the previous board and the current board being noted at every single meeting?
That's something I.
That we're 3 years, and you're gonna take that as your most significant takeaway today. And we're pretty demanding because we're trying to get our hands around this and get this property to where it should be.
Sure.
And we do lay heavy into show, and there was not a good handoff for show, and Diana's new too. I have to say, as we autopsy this patient, a lot of this falls into you had rather mediocre cams here prior to Catherine and Joe. And I think that's why we're in such a disorganized state. And our residents didn't like it because they came into this building to conduct business, and they were not treated in the warm and polite manner that they should. I can assure you that that has completely changed. And look, and we know, and you guys record, I mean, we have people that come in here and they're just absolute thorough assholes. And they're not polite to Cheryl and to Diana. And they're rude, and sometimes they're quite illogical. And it takes a thick skin. And we would have a hard time handling it, let alone two nice ladies. But we're in disarray because there's not good handoffs. And our residents aren't happy because they came in here and were interrupting somebody from Facebook, or we had hours posted and there was nobody here, or somebody came in to build a pool in the screen enclosure and they're handed one ARB application, and 3 months later they rejected because they should have filled out two, or they weren't given to. And those are the things that really have irritated our residents. And of all things, we're going to make this a friendly customer service enterprise. People come to the meetings and they don't wait till the end of the night to speak. They allow residents to conduct their new business as a respect and courtesy for them.
If you would allow us, we'd like to heavily participate in your holiday and have a presence at the holiday event and try to bridge the relationships within the community.
You can have a presence. I don't want any remuneration from you for that. I think the key thing that you all can do, all three of you, is to make sure that Cheryl has every tool to get us to where we should be today, from an accounting, from a record. We have crap at multiple attorneys. We have different attorneys double billing us for the same property. We have attorneys billing us $10,000 to collect $1,200. It's a frickin' mess. And she needs to get up to speed on that, and we need to get our hands around that, as well as the deficient properties. We need to wordsmith these letters going out to our residents. If you don't pay us on this date, you're gonna owe us $180, not $120. Like Don says, we need to be more overt with that. We're trying to get this newsletter out and all sorts of things from our side. You guys do this at a lot of properties across Orlando and Florida and the nation. We need a little help with our website. We need a little bit of help with our newsletter and maybe Facebook page, because we want to communicate to our residents. And those are things that we had actually thought you guys could bring a lot of confidence to us with.
We have that various locations.
Yeah, and once again, we don't need to reinvent a website, a community website, or a Facebook page. We're more than welcome to use best practices from similar engagements with other properties. You know, we want Cheryl and Diana to concentrate on taking care of our residents and the business aspects of this. And we don't want to be involved, and we don't want to micromanage this. And I can tell you candidly, we all think we're spending way too much time from our side as volunteers. So, you know, hopefully in the next 3-4 months, we get the bad blood out and can move along in a aggressive and good manner.
We appreciate that.
Super. Mr. Baker, you're remote, so I can't see your body language. Anything else you want to cover?
No, I think you got it all covered, Dave.
Good. Hey, we're gonna go through the Christmas party funding, some of these fees and waive requests. We have a quorum. You can stay on as long as you desire, or you can drop off, whichever your day dictates, okay?
If you've got quorum, I need to move on, thank you.
I thought so. Hey, John, thanks for your contribution, and thanks for your courtesy.
All right, talk to everybody later.
Thank you, John.
I have a quick question. So, like, when you were talking about the ARB applications and people filling those out, are the ARB applications fairly standard across multiple communities, or are they individual?
Mostly individual per property.
Okay. I was just gonna say, and maybe it's something that we could take on, but if you guys had the ability to create like a video or something of just, here's how you fill it out.
You know what we should do? We should put it on the website. Or,
And that's something we could do very easily, but if they had it already, or if maybe that's something they wanted to create for all their communities, here's how you fill it out, because it seems like.
Maybe we should get Brian Trago to do one and put a clip on there, yeah. I like, and for those of you that know, Chuck used to be one of our task force members. He's one of our most engaged residents. Chuck is on the safety committee, and Chuck is on the communication committee. And most often has fantastic commentary.
A lot of meetings that
Yeah,
night.
okay. I'd be remiss if I didn't make sure that you knew each other. Good, anything else from First Service?
Diana, did you want to go over that $600 bill for, I think it was B&P?
No, you explained it. I wasn't aware that you had spoken to Cindy.
Yeah, because when I read that letter, it sounded like they could proceed unless we sent them that check with,
Right.
when it was signed, if that wasn't done. And our take now is we want to clean up all these foreclosures, because basically, what I'm seeing, the law firms we have, they're taking way too long on each of these cases, running up unnecessary bills and seeing very little results. And I also spoke to, is it Sean?
Sean.
Yeah, I spoke to him also last week. They got a bill in there for $9,300, we're not gonna pay that as well. He was explaining to me that Fannie Mae took that property over, so they're gonna go after the total $24,000. If we get it, we'll get reimbursed. But if not, if it goes into Bank of America, becomes first mortgagee, then we only get 1 year's HOA dues or 1%, whatever's the lesser. So they gotta have skin in the game, is what I told him.
Yeah,
So that just transfers over with that address, they can keep pursuing it. If they collect the 24, they'll get their money. But it's not gonna be business as usual with these lawyers. We're gonna change that around.
These attorneys have sucked in us like vampires, and we're showing very little results for it. We're showing bill churn. In numerous instances, they're billing both us and the property owner. John says that you First Service is the one that introduced us to KGB, which is the worst of the bunch. You guys know that we have retained Jennifer England to review our attorney relationships and our bills and various other things, and we're not gonna roll over and pay those bills anymore without their examination and validation. it's horrific, the amount of attorney bills that we see rolling in for almost no collections.
Yeah, Cheryl, what was it at the last board meeting? One of them was about $1,700 for the month, one was $2,300, and one was $34.
Just rolling up.
Meanwhile,
Invoices.
one of the lawyers, we have like 24,000 we owe on papers that they're carrying. It's either 24 or 7.
Then we'd be lucky to collect $4,000 worth for $24,000 attorney.
The return is not logical at all.
Well, that's why maybe associations have made a decision, about prior years, there were never really very many good collection firms out there. So organizations, again, which we're not affiliated with financially, ACR and a few others, that are in the picture, they've had a great degree of success, and most associations are going in that direction because of the lower fees.
Hey Cheryl, you're an integral part of our success, and you're new here, like we're new here. This is a great forum for you to be candid, and anything that you need to do your job better. We've got the whole executive group, I know that you dialogue with probably all of them individually, but we're relying on you to be super successful.
Well,
We know you have the energy, and we know you have the want to do it. Anything that you need from these folks, be candid and let's get it out there.
Well, I do. I mean, as you stated, she came aboard when I did, Diana Washburn. She's been so helpful to me and very transparent. I mean, I think when some of these things came up, she was one of the first to let the board know, like that letter that we received with the signatures. Diana had me forward that to the board so that you would be aware that she was on top of it, though, and taking care of it. And Danny, he's always got an open door. I can reach him anytime, even in the evenings or on the weekends. So I feel I get the great amount of support from them. I'm not just saying that because she spends a lot of time on this property, even on her days off. So, I get a lot of support.
I'm sure that they appreciate your compliments, but from a back office standpoint, from a technical standpoint, there are days that I come in here and you and Diana are locked out of some of the exchanges from an IT standpoint that you guys can't get in. You need to get into that to conduct your business, or your email is down, or these other various issues. And when your email is down for a day, that severely dilutes your, Billy, get your job done. You always have plenty to do, but, so from a technical standpoint, let's get it all out there.
Well, I'll be really honest with you. I have no problem with getting it all out there. I gotta be really honest with you.
And you always have,
The things that I'm hearing, I'm kind of shocked. I think that the team that we have here now, Rose, I'm not saying pointing fingers or anything, but I kind of agree with Rose when she said, the camera's supposed to be, it's the first person you're supposed to be watching everything, and then going to someone like Danny or Dan and say, hey, I don't know, I'm not sure, explain this to me. So I don't know what happened when you were here, Rose, but I just can't see that happen. I don't know how some of these things that I've heard happen. I just don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Like I said, I was on the phone with the accountant just yesterday, and she already set up a spreadsheet, even though we only have one HOA home, so that all the expenses, buying the refrigerator, the cleaning, the maintenance, everything that the bills are coming in are going to go on that same spreadsheet with the same GL code as the rents that we're going to be collecting. So they're very accessible.
Okay. Well, you know what we want.
Yes, I do.
And even more than knowing what we want, you probably know what we need to do a good job. Things that are unforeseen to us. And if there's anything you need, whether you do it in front of us, or you sidebar with them, we don't want to come in a month or in 6 weeks or 8 weeks and say, what's our status of delinquency?
Mm-hmm.
What's our rental ledger? And have you say, I'm not getting it from court. So whether you do it individually or collectively, or when we leave, you meet with the people that can facilitate all the things that you need. It's the time to do it.
Well, the only thing I have to say about the collections point is that in the last meeting, Mr. Baker said anything over 500 should go to either an attorney or a collection company. So I know we're using Jennifer, but we really need Carol Gordon to have that contract. And I've been asking Don for it every single day.
I know. He's got one.
Come on, Don, you gotta have
Okay,
the contract.
so Don is your point on that?
Yeah.
Got it. So I guess as we wrap this up, and this is a two-way conversation, because it's gotta be good for you guys, is we need this to run smoothly for a long period of time. And she needs everything that she can. She's got 4 new employees that are probably completely virgin in their roles, except for Cheryl, and virgins to first service. So you guys gotta kick it in, and we welcome your feedback. After you challenge me when we've done something wrong, and or experienced. And
Well,
she's,
that's a sign of a good partnership, is that we're able to always come back and make our comments as well.
look, and once again, we're new. We came into office on a wave of, I hate to say it, tired political phase, but a wave of change in the community, like overwhelming. And we're here for a long time. We want to get this right, and we want to spend less time on it. We want to rely on your professionally managed entity to do more. Look, it's the last time you'll see me say it in a long time. You had, I don't know about Tim Quinlan, because I've heard mixed on Tim, and my dealings with him were mixed. You know, where I get a violation letter for a house that's 6 doors down from me. And every other issue that came with that. But in between Tim and Cheryl, we had some pretty shitty property managers, Cheryl. And shame on you guys for giving us people that were so mediocre. Because they weren't worth what we paid you. And she's inherited a damn mess. I won't bring that up again for a while.
Can I take responsibility for that? I pledge to those.
And not only,
If I leave it to other folks these days, because, you know, I figure maybe I'm done sure that I was gotten to a point where I was beyond my game, so.
and people put up with Elway and Theismann, who were idiots, but they were successful.
Very,
I can't tell you the overwhelming consensus from our residents, how much they hated Lawrence and Maria, or however she pronounces her name. They came in here, and it was like you were interrupting their Thanksgiving meal. And that was the perception of the community. We have people that want to come up here anymore. We have people that want to come to board meetings anymore. And we're going to change that whole attitude, for sure, okay? I've said my piece on it.
Dave, can I ask one more question? You had said that it's taking you 10, 15, 20 hours a week. So as you asked her to give them some stuff, what is it that you need to lower your hours from them? I don't know if that was necessarily expressed. Like, is there some time suck?
And we'll wait till Cheryl comes back for something.
What now? I'm sorry.
No, I was just asking, like, how he asked you to express to them what you needed to be successful. He said he's spending 15, 20 hours a week.
And I think
So I was
that's,
asking,
and that's a good point, Chuck. You know, once again, you're really perceptive. I think part of that is a new manager with a new board, and we're not at the point that we're intuitive to each other yet. You and Diana don't have to ask me anymore when someone's having an estate sale, they're moving out of the community sale. We can't enforce it, we can't go after them. I'm not gonna micromanage it.
Diana just likes to call you and ask.
If I say the fountain's broken, I know you're on it, I don't have to check it. We used to get a report, whether it was good or bad, from Catherine every Friday of the week in one little summary for the whole board. You're probably too busy to do it, but when you catch your breath, you can just give us a little summary. Randall probably doesn't want to be bothered with too many things.
Yeah.
But outside of that, that's it from my standpoint. We have to do something. I can't spend 2 nights a week meeting the off-duty deputies for no trespasses. So we'll have to do a workaround with that. And I want to start inviting Rod from the verandas into the meetings and jointly collaborate
Okay.
with. That's our first service rented property. The condos are in trouble. He's got $400,000 owed to them. We want to work with them, they're part of our family, just like the golf course is, but even more so on the condos, to jointly collaborate. We've announced a new landscaping company. He can piggyback on that, maybe save a few bucks. He didn't realize that we were shutting the gates down for people who are in arrears on their dues. Anything that can help him collect his money helps all of us.
Sure.
And we need them to be successful, more than we need the golf course to be successful. So, and we're doing a lot of meetings with the golf course. As you see the ponds in the mode, we're on this.
I'm glad you are, David. Finally, I saw where they painted that wall, although they didn't go all the way down.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. We tried and they just ignored us.
Yeah, he didn't have a good dialogue with Lauren Wheeler. He felt
No,
like
I know.
he felt like she treated him like an employee, and I'm being polite. Is she went in there and dictated to him and Robbie the way things were gonna go. And he's asked us for some stuff. He needs some signage, and he needs to be successful in it. As you're seeing at Eastwood, if the golf course fails, it dramatically hurts all of us.
And we agreed, the other board said the same thing.
He was the first person to agree to support us on giving in the community, which we're hearing could increase property values tens of thousands of dollars. We're proceeding with that.
Sure.
We're talking to him about maybe building a big big clubhouse with a restaurant and supporting him at a resort pool. So, he just wants to, be part of the family, and we're gonna give him a space in the newsletter. And every new resident of North Shore gets a free, round of golf.
That's
So all
awesome.
sorts of joint, mutually beneficial collaboration.
I think
So,
that's great.
yeah.
We tried it with him, he's tried it, and people just didn't. Again, you have to remember, we were at the recession time, people didn't have the money to go and play golf. A lot of things occurred when we were on the board.
He actually said he made a lot more money during the recession than he does now.
Because he told us he wasn't, and he was hoping we would take care of it for him.
Yeah.
And we did the best we could.
Well, Don's a pretty good, reader of our documents and covenants, and reminded him politely of what his responsibility is. And you weren't at the last board meeting, the golf course has won the landscaping contract.
Oh, good.
We haven't announced it because we don't have a degradation of services for right cut, but now we have one neck to choke. If there's a big patch that's uncut, if there's a pond that's unmaintained, it's all his responsibility. And we have all our tree trimming taken care of,
Great.
all the tree trimming. And they're here every day. Yeah, so,
Very
we're
good.
gonna try that, but we also give them a very short contract, only 6 months, if we have to pull. And then we've got 2 good, co-bidders, so,
Sounds great to me.
Yeah.
I'm really good to do that.
super. So, you guys are welcome to stay. We're gonna wrap up a couple of line items very quickly. Maybe you can resource the show after we leave. Great, Cheryl, let's walk through your list, please.
Okay.
How much for the Christmas party? That's easy.
She would like 5,000, up to 5,000, between 3,000 and 5,000. The social committee would.
And that's the same as last year. Do we know what we have in reserves from renting of this room?
Well, as of September, you spent 6,596, but you were budgeted 8,000.
So
In
it's-
2015, it's 7,920, so she's gonna have it in
So
December.
we're 1,400 remaining in budget. How
But the
much,
budget is different than
No,
what
the
she
budget-
collected.
Max, how much have we collected from?
That was all the same GL, it's under
I know.
party,
But how much
fund.
we had more rentals this year. How much have we collected?
That I have to go look at.
Okay, on your income side, we have a line item for the $8,000. And then what we did is we put it on the expense side of 8,000. And depending on what came in, is what we used from the rental.
That's what I'm trying to say, it's all in the same GL, it's all in the same GL account, so that's the total right there on the financials.
Okay, next year, let's take the GL and let's explode out rental income of this space. So
Okay.
we can monitor that through the year, okay?
Okay.
We're gonna have hundreds of people, 300-400 people at this Christmas party. I'm in full support of budgeting $3,000 to $5,000 from our largest annual event besides the 4th of July party. I know it's probably a little bit more than we would normally give, but it's late and we don't have all the details. They put a bit of work into it, and I make a motion that we budget $3,000 to $5,000, not to exceed $5,000 for our annual Christmas party.
I second the motion.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That carries with the 3 present board members. You can let them know.
I would be happy.
Chuck volunteered to offer his tent erection expertise to them. He did, back at the 4th of July party. We've got that. Okay, how about this palm tree?
In April 28th, she was charged 1,000 by the finding committee.
That's the lady who keeps still calling my house.
Yes,
Her-
this
Her
is-
agent, right? Yeah.
Well, it's her aunt's house,
Yeah.
and she would like you to waive that fee, because she has corrected it. I did go by the property, and she gave me a receipt as well.
But she ignored months and months of notices. So we have each looked at this individually, and here is our, she owes us $979, correct?
Mhm.
This is our one and only appeasement offer to her. We're gonna find her $100 for ignoring the numerous correspondences that were sent to her.
Okay.
It's her fault that she has not provided a timely and accurate forwarding address. And then we paid for a service, $100 in collection cost letters and fines, and she's gonna pay that $100, so we don't have any out-of-pocket money from the community. So we're willing to settle for $200 of the $978.53, and you can tell her that's a $100 fine for ignoring numerous requests, and $100, which is our cost, dollar for dollar, for the collection letters fund for service.
Okay.
In addition to her continued, for $200.
Okay.
If she doesn't pay that by the end of this year, the entire balance is fully shown.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that sounds good. So this is how we got, this is the,
That's the finding letter. This is how it looked.
okay, so. It's a correction, it was for October.
No, she wasn't at
Let's
the,
take
we were
March
just
first.
April.
Hey, and by the way, pardon me, too, while you're at that, because she ignores all of her letters and correspondence, she's been doing an auto deduction of $97, even though our dues were $85.55. So she actually has a balance with us, which you can, I don't know how you do it from an accounting standpoint, but you can swap off the balance owed to her for that portion of the $200.
Gotcha, okay.
And do yourself a favor,
Yeah,
when you have this correspondence with her,
well, she's gonna come in.
no, she's not, the niece is gonna come.
Yeah.
When she comes in, or whether you do this by email, you should have a written record of this. Remind her that on January 1st, our dues are just,
Yeah,
even though we all got our coupon book, okay?
okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So remind her what the new dues are gonna be, and she can take her surplus balance of this, which I think is, whatever it is, $22 or whatever, and apply that to the $200, and it's gotta be paid end of the year, okay? Good. Any other business?
That was it for today.
So if we have our automatic payments with the thing, we have to go in and adjust that since it's going up?
Yeah.
So that's something you should put into the newsletter.
Yep, so Cheryl?
You have Click and Pay?
You're doing the
You
newsletter.
should have gotten a letter.
We need to talk. Chuck.
So I do a bank auto draft, so I let my December payment go, and then I manually go into just, here's a good point, and we gotta get this newsletter. If you have some samples,
Automatically? Okay. So, and one other thing to that is, and maybe this isn't the month to do it, but maybe you guys need to, if somebody gets behind $7 or whatever the difference is, not trigger letters going out, hey, you missed your dues, that are gonna cost money. Maybe there's a more friendly way to do it that's not gonna cost for people $30 for them not having updated that $7.
that's
I
another,
don't know.
maybe there should be a $25
That was
threshold.
put in the past coupon. We had letters that went in with the coupon book, and that was always mentioned.
Well, I mean, I got a
That
letter.
you got a coupon book, you may want, and then.
That's a
we can
generic
also-
letter, can we customize those letters next year? That comes with a coupon book?
So I didn't get a coupon book, I got a
We used to write
letter.
it, David,
You can.
we
You
write
got
it.
it. You just got a letter?
Yeah, you don't get, if you're signed up for the auto pay, you don't get coupon books.
Right.
I got a letter, but I didn't feel that it was very, I think it kind
It
of
was a
said,
generic letter, yeah.
but it didn't tell me, hey, you need to go and update this, because the dues went up, or you're gonna,
You're welcome to
Okay.
write an entire letter or.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that we can do is we're trying to reinvent the wheel and come up with a community newsletter. Can you go- Can you go and pull
Okay.
4, 5, 6 of your other communities that have a newsletter? I don't care what the date is, I don't care if it's December 2012. Give me 4 or 5 sample newsletters, either electronically, which is what we aspire to do to save the mailing costs, or hard copies that I can share with our communication committee.
We have from single family all the way to newspapers.
And we'd like to see-
Newspapers are funded by a number of the local establishments, and we.
Well, give us the hand. And if you think, hey, Dave, I found 10 good ones, give us 10. And I don't care if you drop them off with Cheryl or you email them to me. Okay? Super. Good. Anything else?
Oh, that's about it for me.
Good. Next board meeting, we're gonna pick a date. We're trying to get the whole group. That's why we have not announced December yet. On the December board meeting, we need to have paint color schemes.
Okay.
Whether it's a permutation of the old and the new, with the disgusting colors thrown out, but we're overdue on paint color review.
Got it.
And when you finish up your day today, we have to talk about Chris, send me an email. And let Chuck and I know in a separate email who you have content from each of the committees and who isn't due.
Okay.
It's not here.
yeah, so far, there's not really been any content.
Yeah, we actually have Dave Bauer, which we're gonna take from compliance.
Yeah, that's the only one.
Okay? So let us know, just give us one more catch-all reminder, okay?
Okay.
I had an update or some questions from the communications committee, and apologize for taking time.
And
A couple ideas would be, one, to have either a monthly or quarterly, best yard type thing. Try to get some people about, happy about, how their yard looks.
We have these door hangers, encourages that, we congratulate folks.
You know, we can probably pay kids to deliver newsletters, way cheaper than we can mail them.
Yeah.
Thanks for saving us a couple grand.
Yeah, we can actually supply it.
Hey, the other thing that you should put into the board minutes is because of all of the discomfort and slow pay for off-duty advisors, the board is going to approve $200 Christmas bonus to.
Everyone?
No, to our two lead off-duty guys, which are Corporal Ramsey,
And Johnson?
Master Deputy Johnson, $200 gift cards each. And then each of the deputies who have worked more than 20 hours over the course of the year, a $100 gift card.
Okay.
I'm happy to pick that up and expense it, or you can take care of it either one, okay?
Okay.
I'm happy to give them like a generic American expense, I can take whatever I want.
Okay.
Okay,
Are you gonna make a motion for that?
I make a motion to support those gift cards to the off-duty deputies. It's actually under $1,000.
I have to see who's worked over 20 hours.
It's under $1,000. You know, Ramsey can tell you about you haven't
You'll
done
have
any
to.
research.
Oh, great.
Go ahead, don't be shy. I'm doing this wrong. We're not gonna W-2 that, I don't think. I think it's under $250.
Right.
It's a gift card.
It's a
It's
gift
fine. It's a gift card.
Yeah, I don't think it warrants a W-9. Tell me if I'm wrong or illegal.
You wanna talk to the chief first? You
Yes.
wanna do that?
Well, we talked, I know Captain Meade, who runs up.
It's a conversation that,
Yeah, we've already talked to their supervisors, and it is a common and normal practice.
in some counties, it's frowned upon.
So, it's a common, yeah. Yeah, we do it in our business with them as well. Good.
So you made the motion, I'll second the motion.
I think it's under $1,000 anyway, so. And John knows off his head, just tell him we wanna know when we're over 20, tell him to give him a modest Christmas gift, and then they'll be surprised that it's as nice as it is.
Okay.
But he's had a lot of Jewish people money to pay bills. Good, is there any other business?
So, I'm sorry, you guys didn't vote on
Okay,
it.
let Rose talk first.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if she wants to discuss this.
Yeah,
or something else.
I just need something clarified, I wasn't quite sure, when you were speaking in regards to the checkbook.
Okay, if it's on the gift cards, let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, all in
No, I
favor of the
had no
gift cards?
questions on this.
Aye. Any opposed? All 3-0. Thank you, sorry, Rose.
I'm sorry. On the checkbook, are you, I wasn't clear on it, are you going to bring in a checkbook here, or?
We have made a motion for the board to have local check writing authority as needed if there is ever an emergency or a vendor that is critical that has not been paid in a timely manner by Avenue.
Okay, so you're going to have a paper checkbook in here, so you can do that.
It should already be here.
It should
And we have
already
it,
be
and
there.
it requires the signatures of two board members.
It's not here yet. The bank, I just got an update from our banking department yesterday, they're being mailed, as we speak. The bank, was going back and forth with themselves if they wanted to waive the fee for the checks.
As I should for our
Right, and they
significant
did,
banking
right,
relationship.
and they did, and I just got updated yesterday that the checks, the temporary checks were sent to our corporate office in Hollywood, and as we speak, they're being sent to us.
And under
So you're
full,
gonna
and
have
under
a
openness
cash
and,
checkbook-
under
checkbook.
openness and full disclosure, Rose, we lost two of our best deputies because we couldn't pay them on time. If we have an emergency, or there's a hurricane, or First Service cannot demonstrate that they can pay essential vendors on a timely basis, the board has approved and passed a resolution to allow local check writing authority with two signatures, one of which has to be the treasurer, and it could either be myself or the vice president, for essential. It's not gonna be a normal course of action, it's not gonna be recurring. We hope that we never have to do it, because there's significant accounting, back office stuff that has to go into the ledger and to accommodate checks and things like that, but we won't have it for an emergency. None of us have ever used any of the bank-issued credit cards. Actually, we've never received any of
Never got it.
issued credit cards, and we don't have to.
We never had credit cards.
So-
There's none that I know.
Check cards, yeah.
We never had.
There's none.
But we passed a resolution and we did signature on it for it, but they never,
Signature, correct.
but they've never passed. We don't wanna do it, we don't have to do it, but if we get the next invoice from the deputies on December 1st, and they're not paid on December 20th or 24th, and they want money for Christmas, we're gonna make sure that they get paid in a timely manner.
Okay,
You wouldn't
so
wanna
the
go-
bank sta- The bank statements are going to be issued to your accounting department
I don't
and
have
put
a clue.
into the financials on a monthly basis, correct?
It will be listed on the financials, I mean, on the bank statement, so.
And the bank statement will go into your financial package?
It'll be the same bank account, so the check will show up and reflect on the.
Okay.
You know, and look, we don't wanna do it, but we've had our off-duty people wait 45
Yeah,
and
you said
60 days to get paid.
You said that.
You wouldn't wait 2 months to get paid. Cheryl wouldn't wait 2 months to get paid. Well, it's not a normal course, and that's a hardship for people.
And I don't think it was meant to a normal course either
No.
on them, but
If
anyway.
if
no,
we
I'm-
knew there were,
I'm-
if we knew there
okay.
were problems with Avid, we probably would have been preemptive and told people that we switched accounting system.
Right.
But they all think it was the new board and the new staff screwed them. So.
That's the difficulty that you're going to be pointed as.
Yep, good. No, yes, sir.
So the communications then, so would you guys be okay with like a quarterly, best yard from each of the different subdivisions? Is that something?
I don't want to be involved in
No,
the selection,
obviously.
but yeah.
But, so maybe like the mechanism would be if you could, as you're going around,
You have it, Rose.
We could do it.
like, you go around on a regular basis and review homes. So if you could just make a short list of homes, of like, here's the good ones, and then, some committee could narrow that down. That's just,
It'd be nice to have workshop too. Right.
so then we're also thinking of maybe doing like a holiday decorating contest where we would put get people to put in nominations and then have a vote on the website.
That's holiday decoration, sure.
Yeah.
We could put them on the Facebook page and take likes as our vote. Hey, sure, what's going on with the chain link fence?
He's gonna be back out, the rep from code enforcement is coming back out on the 23rd, because the gentleman never responded to his letter, so I'll know after the
Can
23rd.
you remind them, tell them, we went by it on Friday, Director King and I, and there's been zero.
I've talked to him, but he still has to come out himself, he said, so.
No, okay. Just tell them nothing's getting done, and the sooner the better, please.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, we promised to take care of that.
Well, he had a certain amount of time that he had let the owner comply
Yeah,
with the Orange County's letter.
just stay on his comment.
so the communications committee would also like an email address, if there's not already one, so either communications@northshorelakepark.org, or we could establish a Gmail.
So that's why we wanted a unique letter. We want to remind people to make sure that we have a valid email address for them, as well as we're gonna change the gates for the long distance calls, so that's why we're hoping to get an insert in that, so. But I think we should do a 4 times a year, fall, spring, summer,
So,
winter newsletter.
but can we get, is there a way, I mean, I know there is, but how do we go about getting an email address for
We can
North Shore?
set it up, maybe.
Okay, we're also wanting to know and make sure, because it's been mentioned before, that some of the different email addresses weren't going anywhere, from the website or whatever, so has that been
That's-
rectified?
For the board, I did that already.
Yeah, I guess take care of the next day.
Any
That's a long time
communications?
ago.
And we should do an email
Make
address.
sure.
Let's do a email address for all the committees, communication committee in
Okay.
North Shore, AOB in North Shore, compliance, and it can go to any person who's current on those committees.
Okay.
It's probably gonna be a little bit of work to maintain, but I think we have our committees locked in now. So communication will go to you, Chuck, and everyone else on that committee.
We also wanted to see if, like, there's been some stuff where you wanted the communications committee to post like a lost cat or something on the website, but it's like, it's entering more people than need to be in the situation, and it seems like if we get one of the property managers to post that on Facebook, that would be significantly easier than trying
Yes,
to
but
have.
sometimes that comes up at night and on weekends.
And that's fine, if it came up at night, that would be one thing as a backup to have communications, but if the property manager's here, and there's no reason to involve other people.
We should do an email address that says something about posting in
Well-
Facebook at North Shore,
Well,
and let it go to Cheryl, Di, the weekend girl, and then the communication committee.
There is a link on the North Shore website to Facebook, now you got me
No, but we
wondering.
don't want to have to go to our.
Yeah, so what I'm saying
We
is-
have this horrific website.
Yeah,
Even we as board members can hardly navigate our way around the website.
that's true.
We started cleaning it up yesterday at our meeting,
Okay.
so hopefully.
So what we want to have is an email address that says Facebook at North Shore for people to submit posts to. And the first one that grabs it, whether it's you or Di or it's 7 o'clock at night, when someone loses their dog, we don't want to wait 3 days to get a picture of the dog on. And the first one that gets it just says, I got it.
Yeah.
The review post on there. Or, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say, there is a link on there I could put for your Facebook page, and then it can go to so many people if you want. Is that what you're trying to say? 'Cause you have a
No.
link there
So
now.
to put, like, to actually post something on Facebook. So like Facebook, there's like a wall or whatever. So lost dog with the information. Right now, there's like an email that goes to like 5 people.
And I can't post on it, so it's
And
really
then nobody ever ends up posting it on Facebook, so there needs to be a mechanism, and it sounds like,
Billy's
it
trying
seems like it
to,
would be easiest for you to do it, since you or whoever the property managers are here during the typical times that people are posting about.
Billy's
lost
trying
dogs.
I just need authorization, because you
Okay,
have
we
me
can do
blocked.
that.
yeah,
You
Billy,
have me blocked, yeah.
You're not blocked, it's,
Well, I can't post anything on there, like, you
well,
know.
we can set that up.
Billy is
blocked.
Billy's trying to eliminate all North Shore related posts from his website.
Okay, you just got, as the administrator, give me access.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sorry you guys have to stay for our minutia. Anything else for the board? Okay, I'll make a,
Make a motion.
okay, it is 1:58. I'll make a motion that we close this board meeting.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 3-0. Thank you all for coming. I'm glad that we can hear everything. Thank you. So not sure what donuts is. Yeah, Don, sorry, says we have no donuts.
Yeah, I remember the last time we had that.
Set the file, I didn't want to put it in my new bag, so it got rid of it.
Letter of appreciation. Ranked highest in his class. For 97 higher Taylor the water.
Rose, thank you. Chuck, thank you.
Vote, though. You vote. Yeah.
Hey, Rose, maybe you can explain to Mrs. Smith. Okay,
Oh, yeah, no, you made the policy.
I don't think she gets it, so